welcome to our podcast channel. Myself, Karthik Venkatraman, Afreen Kareem, my wife, and today we have a new guest with us, Bella. Bella, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm an artist and I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Wonderful. And Bella and Afreen have been Facebook friends for quite some time. And since we've been doing this podcast for quite some time now, we thought of inviting Bella and we picked up a movie that Bella wanted to talk about specifically. And, we also love this movie. So the movie's name is A Man Called Otto. And you would want to start with what you feel about the movie, Bella, and why you wanted to
Yeah.
talk
Like
about
of
this
all
movie.
the movies in the world, why did you pick this movie? What it means to you? And yeah, let's go from there.
Well, I bought the book a few years ago and I read it and I loved it. And it was just one of those things where I was in a bookstore and just the cover. I don't know if this ever happens to you, but you don't actually know anything about the book, but the cover kind of draws you in.
Right.
So I was drawn in by the cover and I thought, oh, this will be interesting. And I don't read a lot of fiction, but I loved it. And then when the movie came out, I was really excited. And I said, okay, well, it's got Tom Hanks. I have to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just, there's so many good points about this movie. It starts off really heavy, but it ends off with a happy ending, of course.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think the way the movie started, it set us up for what we are kind of going to expect, and then there were those twists and turns, right? And I like the way he goes to a shop to buy a rope, and looking at the rope, there is something going to happen. For me, who has not read the book, everything was a surprise or unexpected for me, especially because I also didn't watch the trailer. I just went by the name of Tom Hanks to watch this movie in the theater with Afreen. So going into the theater, the first scene, he's buying a rope and you're looking at it and you're like, why is he buying a rope? And you kind of get an idea. But he's arguing about the cost of the rope, that he's going to pay only for 5 feet of the rope and not to the 6 feet. So, you're like, okay, you get an insight about what he is. And that's how the movie sets up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's torn.
Exactly.
Idealist, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yes,
thought that was interesting too, because the first a quarter of the movie is about all the several attempts he makes to end his life, because he just, and you don't quite catch on that he is doing this because he wants to be with his wife. So you're sort of kept in the dark, and then it comes out in little pieces that, it's, he loves his wife and that he had a very special relationship with his wife. But not only that, it was the reason he existed. He didn't really have a life outside of his wife.
Yes, exactly. And when you're introduced to his younger self and how he meets his wife for the first time in a train, he's running behind the train to give her the book that she was reading, and the way they meet, it's all very cute moments. And then you understand that he's lost his father. At that, the movie starts with with him having lost his wife, and in the past he's lost his father, and you're drawn into his character and how his wife supports him all through his life and how she's been his strength, through his ups and downs. So that's also something we are shown about. And there's so many layers to his character. I love the way Tom Hanks played it. And, on the surface, he looks like this grumpy old man, like one would say, right? He's always rude and he's always to the point. But then he has a heart of gold in the way he treats that female. What's her name? I don't remember her name.
Marisol.
Marisol, yes. And the way he treats her, and eventually, he makes her independent in the way that she can drive. He gives her the keys to his car, right? So that's wonderful. The equation that they have, the chemistry between the two characters, is also wonderful.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant actor. I just love that. Who doesn't know a man like Otto, right? Like, or any person, right? Where you've all sort of come across someone that, just makes everything so difficult and plays by the rules, and just,
Yes.
you just kind of go, come on. And then, you don't really realize what battles people are struggling with inside.
Exactly. And that's that's the only person who's able to get the insight of him is Marisol, right? She's the one who's able to enter into his life, and she kind of forces herself into his life at times. You're like, she's insisting about a lot of things, but that also helps him to change his mindset that, he has to live until the life that he's been given by God. And all of us, for even if we are separated from the ones we are very close to, we have to continue to battle our life till the time we have been gifted with this life, right? And he decides to go ahead. He hears the voice of his wife, because of which he decides to go ahead and live and try to bring positive changes into the people who are around him, and I love that part of the movie.
Bella, you're going through a tough time, right now. Did this movie in any way help you, like, Did you think of it or?
I did, and I think Tom Hanks, nearing the end of the movie, he mentions the purpose for his life, because in the beginning you get the sense that he only lived for his wife, and then at the end of the movie he realizes that he's been incredibly selfish and self-serving, and doesn't recognize that his very best friend is struggling through something, and that all these
Yeah.
little people that come into his life, like what was his name, Marcus or Malcolm,
Malcolm.
yeah, comes into his life, and he's got all these people around him who still depend on him and who need him, and he recognizes that, and I sort of could relate to that, that when things are very tough, I have friends that depend on me and they need me, and for me to be there for them. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we don't know how our life is going to help in changing other people's lives, right? Anything that we say, anything that we mention to them. So it's important that we are conscious about it and we try our best to bring some good changes into people's lives in whatever way we can within our limitations. I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bella, we saw the movie today because we wanted
The
to
second time.
refresh our
Yeah.
memory a second time.
Yeah.
And initially, when we saw it in the theater, we didn't love it as much, and we liked, in comparison, I liked the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood even more, because both are about, good people doing good things. And today, when we saw it, he had started it, and I just came like 10 minutes later. And there was this scene in the train when he doesn't even have like $1.75 for a train ticket, and he deliberately gets into the wrong train following the actress, and then he doesn't have $1.75, and then he got $1, and for the 75 cents he's struggling, he's looking in all his pockets, and then the actress says, hey, I have some change, just take it. I was immediately crying, and I could not believe that, such a small scene. I had just come down, I wasn't even like involved also, but immediately I had tears in my eyes. And so me and Karthik, we have a long distance relationship in the sense that he's most of the times in India, and I'm in US right now. So he's going to India tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning 7. So I'm not feeling really emotional or anything like that. I'm used to kind of like doing this. But this movie like just gave this stars and gold dust in my house. Like, the feeling of the house just feeling different. And this movie was perfect for today. And I was like, we didn't think of it, and the days and everything was not planned at all like that. And then you just picked the perfect movie for the perfect day. Like, this is his last day in US, and tomorrow he'll be gone, and everything just feels hazy and beautiful and sweet and warm, like, so I was crying throughout the movie, and at the end of it I was telling Karthik that, oh my god, it was so good, and it just feels so great to watch this. And Karthik said that maybe it was not a cinematic experience, more like an intimate home viewing with a
Yes, home viewing
podcast kind
experience.
of
Yeah.
movie. That's what he said, or that's what we felt today.
That's what I thought because, first time we liked it, but we didn't love it.
Yeah.
And now when we watched it, it was so much better.
Yeah.
And the only difference that I could think of is maybe it wasn't meant for a collective experience with so many people. Maybe, I just felt that way. Did you
Or
watch it in
maybe we are
theater
in a
or?
frame of mind where, it's all about like missing you from tomorrow and
Yeah.
I've seen movies where
yeah.
I find that movies that are emotional are best, like you mentioned, that they're best watched at home where there's more of an intimate setting. Because when you're in public, there's a little bit of a,
Resolution. Yeah.
yeah, about letting your emotions like just go. And so if you're
Yes.
coming across a movie, I didn't watch it in the cinema, and I watched it at home.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And I read the book 2 years ago.
Oh,
So it was
okay.
very close. Yeah. I was very excited, did not anticipate them making a movie. But my favorite part of the movie is very similar to yours, in where he's eating and she's stuffing her face, and he discloses to her that he's not eating because he wanted her to eat whatever she wanted. And
Yes.
that's the part that got me. And I was like, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember after talking about sacrifice in many of our podcasts. So love is a lot of times sacrificing small things and adjusting to your partner's needs and everything, right? So this was one beautiful thing that he was doing for her. So yes, I completely agree with you. That was a beautiful scene, and I think all scenes between him and his wife were very nice and very. They touch your heart and you feel for them, right? And
It was
you
so well done.
Exactly. And you understand why he must be in such a horrible state, right? I mean, it's difficult to imagine your life without your partner and then give yourself a purpose. But finally, he does find a purpose, even though it's short-lived. But for whatever time he lives, he gets a purpose and he does. I like the way the social media journalist initially, I thought it was I mean, what kind of character is a social media journalist? But she helps in making that change that he was looking for. Not he's against the, I think, the corporatization of America, or these big corporates coming and taking over everything, and he stands against them, and he gets help from this social media journalist who literally closed the garage door on her in the beginning when he meets her. And she's the one who's taking the interview, and she helps the entire society to get rid of these people who are trying to sell America, right? So yeah. So I
Yeah.
like those bits and pieces of
And
funny
the comedy
moments.
scene where he punches a clown, and
Yeah,
like I was like, why would he have punched a clown? Like,
but
I
that
had
was
forgotten, absolutely forgotten. Why would he have punched a clown? So they go in the back past, and then they show that, why did he punch it? It was absolutely hilarious that for a Potter he did that, but it was so meaningful to him. So yeah,
I
yes,
like
I
my
know.
favorite. The funny part for me was when he's in the hospital and he's Marisol is the doctor is talking to Marisol, and she simplifies his condition that he has a big heart, and
Yes,
she just started laughing because she's like, "You've got to be kidding me," you know?
yeah,
exactly. And he writes it at the end, right? It's funny that a big heart could be a thing that could end up someone's life, but usually say you have a big heart, which is supposed to be a good thing, and he is seen as the opposite of that, right? I mean, he's seen to be that guy who was very, but he actually has a big heart. If you see in the way his character is shown, once you see his entire self, you realize that he actually has a big heart, and he gives everything to her, right? He literally gives a house to her, everything that belongs to him. Who does that for strangers, right? And so it's beautiful that while he leaves the world, he leaves it for people who probably need it the most, right? So I
And he
like that
got what
part.
he wanted because he wanted children so badly. And then at the end of his life, he got to be a grandfather because
Yes.
he makes a point of calling himself abuelito, which is grandfather in Spanish, and he just kept
Oh, yeah.
repeating that.
That's
speak
one more thing
Spanish.
that
Yes, I speak fluent Spanish.
oh, nice. Wow.
Your ancestors were from Chile, or
Yes, yeah.
I remember some part about not everything, but yeah.
Yep. No, that's me from Chile.
And I love your artwork, Bella.
Oh, thank you so
I
much.
wish you could come and do my media room because I want to set it up like a forest, and
Oh,
with your
wow.
colors and everything, it would be perfect. But yeah, we're just so poles apart.
Yeah, your home is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
And I think some of your videos are hilarious. I love the one where you're twirling.
She loves to twirl, so we have almost all our
do.
videos in
I
which
don't know how
she
it
twirls.
goes, so that's an easy thing to do.
I think it's cute. I love it.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to specifically talk about this movie? I mean, we can talk for hours. I think that's the effect of the movie, but since it's a podcast.
No, I pretty much that like you've summarized pretty much everything that this movie was about and why it's such a great movie. As you said, you articulated that so well. It's got so many layers. It's got it's a very hard subject, but it's told in such a humorous way.
Absolutely.
There's a message at the end of it, much like when he does the movie of Mr. Rogers, right? Like there's a message
Yes.
that
It's
we
a
need to be
beautiful
kind.
movie.
Yeah, and just very and accepting, right? Because I mean, he's got like all these characters, and they're all very wild and outrageous, but he accepts them as they are, and he meets them where they are, and they do the same for him. And so I think that's just such a powerful message. Let's just meet each other where we are, and let's not change one another, but let's be kind and understanding and sympathetic. And
there is this line in the movie where he's always like, world is full of idiots, and she tells him that okay, the world may be full of idiots, but you need them. You need these people who you call idiots, because you cannot do things by yourself. You need people around you. You need people to help you in what you're wanting to do. I like the line that she said,
I love
even
that
if they're
part.
idiots.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many great moments, where she's overwhelmed from driving. And I know I could relate to that too, because I don't drive. I've always been terrified of driving. So, when he says to her, like, look, this is what you've done.
Yeah, you're giving birth to
driving
three
is
kids.
not.
Yeah, giving birth to 2 kids, and the third one is on the way, and this is nothing. This is nothing in comparison to what you have achieved. So, and she feels empowered at that moment, right? So, yeah.
How many
wonderful.
times have we all been in that condition, right, where we want to do something, but we're so afraid of it? Fear just takes over, and it just takes someone to just tell us, like, hey, look, this is what you've accomplished. This should be nothing for you.
Right. I absolutely agree with you.
Just yesterday, I was scolding Karthik, and I was like, Karthik, you are the king of idiots. So he comes to me and he says, so you are the idiot, and I'm your king.
Oh.
So it was great talking to you, and I'm glad that we got introduced to each other,
Yes.
talking about this movie. So I think
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me to to your little podcast. I'm very, very excited about this.
Thank you. And
Thank
we
you,
are
Bella.
actually,
You are a doppelganger of one of my best and kindest friends, and you are absolutely like beautiful, kind. I can see that in your post. It was such a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. Mwah. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for being a part of the podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.